Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Diana Bitner of True Women's Health. I'm an OBGYN by training and have enjoyed taking care of women for over 28 years. I've delivered babies and did surgery for years and really got interested in menopause because I saw too many women suffering. So tonight we're going to have a discussion about menopause in the workplace, and I am so excited to talk about this. I'd like to introduce you all to Mary Jo. She is our clinical psychologist at True Women's Health. Thanks for joining tonight, Mary Jo.
Oh, really happy to be here. And like you, I'm really excited about this topic. I don't think we talk about it enough and address it enough. So I'm glad we're taking this on tonight.
Awesome. You know, like you, I see so many women who suffer because they just think they've got to live with how they feel in menopause. And, you know, menopause symptoms, those hot flashes, night sweats, affect so many women at work. We just want to really make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. Women tend to nurture other people. They take care of other people. But when something is going on within themselves, they hide it and do it alone. And it doesn't make any sense, but it's how we were raised and what we do. And we've got to really change that dynamic. And this is one key topic.
I agree. And, you know, this is so important to look at these numbers. They happen to so many women. 80% of women suffer these symptoms, yet only 40%, 40% of women say it affects their work performance, but only 20% have ever talked to their doctors about it. Only 20% of doctors ever bring it up with their patients. It's just something that needs to be talked about more. And these symptoms are real. This isn't just something that comes for a day and is gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's not your imagination. And the thing is, when we don't talk about it, when we don't share it with people, they can't relate to how much we're struggling. They think she's pulling it along. It's like the duck on water. The feet are going 100 miles an hour below, but up top they look so calm, cool, and collected, which only enhances the stigma and makes it even worse.
I remember when I presented the idea for a menopause center in a healthcare system, I was confronted by older men. And again, no disrespect. This isn't meant to put anybody under the bus, but it just wasn't something talked about. And I remember one of the responses from the older gentleman in the meeting, you know, sort of leaned back and said, "Isn't menopause just something you've got to deal with?"
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, okay. So I made some analogies, made my point, and we had a good meeting. But it was just really, it surprised me. But yet, in his realm, he never saw women complaining about menopause. So he probably thought it was not a big deal. Or maybe his wife didn't even talk about it very much and just sort of dealt with it in silence. And so, again, the fact that we're able to talk about this on social media, that it's getting much more conversation in the workplace. So tonight, everyone, we're going to share some really interesting statistics about how this affects women and talk about some example stories that I've gotten to take care of women with, and Mary Jo as well. Then we're going to talk about 5 key facts to really ponder on, and then some takeaway tips that can help you feel better in the workplace. So we could just have a conversation about this, but let's get started. Mary Jo, do you want to share a story of a woman that maybe you've seen that maybe people might relate with?
Yeah, I've dealt with so many women at this point in their career, senior level executive women. And again, these are strong, determined, intelligent women. And this one woman in particular, she was an executive for a tech firm. And at 51 years old, started having such severe symptoms that it significantly began to impact her work performance. And she didn't want to tell anybody, she tried to manage around it, which only made it worse. Essentially, she received several poor performance reviews and was fired from her job. After that, she sought help, got treatment. Ironically, now she works for another firm in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and is including menopause as part of that charge, and is ironically consulting with the firm that fired her a few years ago. But she will say, I wish I would have faced it head on. I wish I would have asked for help. I wish I wouldn't have tried to do it alone. Right. Key takeaway for her.
Sure. There. But what a gift that she's taking her lessons and then helping many more women, as you know, what you and I love to do. Several patients come to mind. Of course, we won't use their names. one gal was 48. She had 2 young kids at home. Her husband worked full time. She just had to put her mother in memory care. Her periods were, so she's very busy, like all of us. Her periods were really irregular and heavy. And one time she was in a meeting and her period started, and she had to wait until everyone else left the room so she could get up from the chair because she was so embarrassed. But then she started having more of those symptoms that happen with early perimenopause. She was having night sweats, and then the next day she would have brain fog. And she just felt like she couldn't bring this up. But the more she would get anxious, let's say she started to have a hot flash in a meeting, then of course she'd have a worse hot flash, right?
Right.
But she also knew that other women were gunning for her job. So she didn't even feel comfortable talking about this with her coworkers because she saw this as where they'd see an opportunity to take advantage of the situation, which, is just too bad when we can't feel that other women will support other women. And, she wanted what we see many women say in the surveys is she just wanted some understanding. If I have a really bad night, can I just work from home? I'll get all my work done. Can I have some flexibility? Women who have hot flashes, they just want to control the temperature in the room. Does it have to be so hot? And so, she really struggled. And so she'd been with this company for 15 years, but she didn't know that she'd be able to stay that much longer. She just didn't know how she was going to do it and deal with everything she was dealing with at home and then at work. So again, I'm so glad that I got to see her. We put an IUD in for her heavy bleeding, and the bleeding stopped. And then we were able to use some estrogen. It was safe for her. And we were able to use estrogen in that week before her period and get rid of those night sweats. And she was able to have, a much better time of it. She felt empowered. And, she swore that if she had issues, if she saw coworkers having issues, she would be the one to speak up. So, it's really something that can be empowering, but it can also ruin a career.
Right. And empowering is key. And there's another theme in what you were talking about that women tend to do, how we can many times tend to be our own worst enemies. We so underestimate ourselves. We underestimate our strengths. We underestimate our skills. And so then when we have even a little flaw, a pimple on my chin, we maximize it and we're embarrassed and we're ashamed of it. And then multiply that by 10,000 when you're going through menopause. And then you think everybody's out to get you because you're not at that moment in time at the top of your game. We need to take a step back and give ourselves some grace and recognize our strengths, recognize how did I get to this position? It didn't happen by luck, but we really tend to underestimate ourselves. And that's why we paint ourselves into a corner and try to suck it up all alone, which is not healthy.
I really love that point because one of the other issues that happens in perimenopause and menopause is mood disturbance. So as our estrogen levels fluctuate, of course, as well as, we don't sleep as well, that can affect our brain chemicals, our serotonin levels. And so we might be a little more paranoid. We might be a little bit more, overthinking things. We might get into circular thinking, let's say in the middle of the night. That isn't true, right? So I love how you talk about, and Ashley, I know, who also works at True, she talks about like writing down what is true in this thinking and what is not true.
Exactly. And that's why having a confidant, having a trusted advisor, not doing this alone, having somebody say your perception right now, Mary Jo, is a little out of whack. That's really not how we see you. We need to check in with other people and see what's happening and not battle it alone and get those perceptions fixed.
I love that. So maybe what we should do next, let's go into 5 key facts around menopause in the workplace, because again, we want to get this conversation going and we want to give you food for thought and how this can help you and also help you in your particular environment. So first of all, I just want to call out that menopause will happen to all women. Some it happens to women at 35 because of chemotherapy. And I think of a patient I saw recently, MBA, corporate finance, hit with breast cancer at a young age, and she's in menopause and dealing with treatment and has young children, and her husband works full time, right? So menopause happened to her. It happens to women at 41, let's say, with premature ovarian failure, or most women like myself right around 52 with natural menopause. And so it's not one type or one culture or one age, or it happens to all of us. All of us will go through menopause.
And you know what's interesting? Most women, not all, but most women go through pregnancy, and they take their pregnancy to work, and they talk about, I've got brain fog today because of my pregnancy,
Right.
and or I'm not moving as fast, or I'm not moving as quickly. So if we could bring this to the same level and
Right.
and chuckle about it and be supportive about it in the same way,
Right.
because
And when we think about this, we want to bring more support to the workplace in terms of providing, let's say, digital health with Curia, providing other options for menopause. And we talk about what other wellness solutions do workplaces offer. They might offer fertility apps. They offer fertility services, lactation rooms.
Right. Right.
What do they offer for women over 40? So, we need to call for this in terms of support. This is real. Okay,
Yeah,
I get
absolutely.
rambling. Fact number 2, perimenopause is when the symptoms start. So for some women, this happens as early as 40. The average age of symptoms starts around 44. So again, for you younger women who have not experienced this yet, this isn't like just 60-year-olds. It isn't people getting near retirement. It happens early, and it tends to happen kind of slow. It's kind of sneaky, and all of a sudden it's like, what is happening to me? Why did I have that night sweat? Why did I wake up with my pajamas soaking? Why am I ornery? Why am I gaining weight? These are very common early symptoms, and you don't have to suffer. I'm sure you see that too, Mary Jo.
Yeah, and again, it's women tend to do, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. We blame ourselves. I didn't do this right. I didn't do that right. I wasn't healthy enough. I'm being punished for something. And understanding that this is just a natural part of biology. This is just a natural part of growth, and accept it and learn to embrace it and how this, rather than some bad thing that's happening to you to destroy you, which women tend to do.
Well, too, and how I'd like to think about it is that first series of hot flashes and night sweats, or any of these complaints or issues, it's almost a gift, because what we do at midlife predicts how well our health will be at 70 or 80. And so when we get these first signals, it is time to get your act together, people. It is a time where, okay, am I doing what I can about my health, my cholesterol, my blood sugar, my weight, my energy, my relationship? Like, everything we do at midlife matters. It's not what we do at 70 that affects 80. It's what we do at 50 that affects 80. So these are gifts. We just have to do a brain flip.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as another milestone in life. You celebrate when you turn 16 and you get your driver's license. You celebrate when you turn 21. You celebrate when, so this is another milestone. I like that way of thinking. Flip it around and say, this is a milestone that's telling me something good.
Let's do a brain flip. Yeah. And then getting over that milestone and learning to be empowered with it. It's empowering, right? It just makes us feel good. Fact number 3. So this is an interesting survey done by Biote, Biote, and we'll be sharing more of these facts in the coming weeks. But a really important survey. We're very grateful they did it. They surveyed many women between the ages of 45 and 60, looking at how they were experiencing, or how they had experienced these symptoms related to the workplace. So you can see this: 20% of women surveyed between the age of 50 and 65 said that menopause symptoms affected their work daily. 20%. And so it's a big deal. Fact number 3. So again, we women make up 47% of the workforce. And if you look at certain workforces, let's say in a hospital system, you look at nurses, 65% of nurses are women. And the average age of nurses in a healthcare system, let's say, is 52. So you look at this very large workforce, and 17% say they have left the workforce or are thinking of leaving just because of menopause symptoms. So this is a big number. This is 2.5 million women at risk of leaving work at the peak of their careers, right? So this is women who have worked in the trenches, who are experienced. They are just too valuable, too expensive for a corporation to lose. And right now, when the message right on LinkedIn and everywhere is, how do you retain employees?
Right.
you maybe attract really high quality employees. You take care of them. And this is one really important way that we can take care of women. So I know I posted this on LinkedIn a while ago, but I was at the airport, headed out, and I was at the Delta counter, and there were all these little fans on the desks with the agents. And I'm like, what are those fans? Of course, I had a hypothesis. Well, they're like, well, they're for our hot flashes, but we had to fight Delta to get the fans. I'm like, you're kidding me. So, but they gave you the fans, but hey, what other benefits do you get for menopause? They're like, we're lucky to get the fans. And so I posted this and pinged the CEO of Delta. It didn't get back to me, but just to get the conversation going, and at least they had the fans. But this is really important.
Well, the workforce can't afford this right now. You'd hope that we had learned our lesson during COVID, because the workforce lost a significantly high number of women during COVID because they struggled with working from home and childcare. And the dynamic typically was if both spouses were working from home, the wife got the kitchen table, the husband got the office, the wife got kid duty, the husband. And so many women had to make the decision to leave their career because of COVID. And so now they get back into their career, and then they hit menopause, and they've got to consider that again if we're not finding ways to support them.
Right. Yeah. And I wish that were just a ridiculous stereotype. And the sad thing is it's not. So many women have left the workforce during COVID. And, just back to the healthcare system, it's a real struggle that so many nurses are leaving the workforce because of just the burnout of what they do, on top of they're not sleeping themselves and they're struggling with menopause symptoms. So, these are real facts that affect the workforce.
Yeah, we need those nurses in healthcare. We need them.
Yes.
We don't want to leave it.
Please stay. And so many have gone into nursing because of the mission of what they do, but they're even considering leaving the entire profession. Yeah. So this is fact number 5. Help is available. So I love thinking about this, that the best treatment starts with knowing what's happening, right? So I want every woman to be empowered to know why she's having her symptoms, what she can do about them, so she can keep doing what she wants to do as long as she wants to do it. So there are medical treatments, of course, including medications, hormone replacement therapy, and definitely psychological support is a key part of this.
Yeah. And I would say, the psychological support can take lots of forms. The first thing might just be, again, having a good friend, a trusted advisor, people that that are in your circle, and start talking about this, as a group. But if you want to seek the thought of counseling, you want to seek the option of counseling. Counseling can be a great tool to help you really customize what you need to do to get yourself through this. It can be a complete game changer. So don't think that you can't reach out. You really should be reaching out in so many ways.
Well, and I love, sometimes women get concerned about, what is therapy, or do I really need a therapist? And what I love telling women is that a therapist doesn't tell you anything you don't already know. It's about organizing some thinking out loud about some boundaries, just having that objective outsider to look in and give some language. Even we talk about, let's say, negotiation. How can I have some language to negotiate this with my partner, with my husband? How can I have some language to negotiate this with my workforce?
Yeah, exactly. A therapist is somebody who's on the outside looking in. My favorite movie in the whole world is The Wizard of Oz. And what I love about The Wizard of Oz is they think they're going to this all-knowing being who's going to show them the solution to their problem. And when they get there, they discover he's as much of a human being, as bumbling and as inadequate as they are. And he doesn't show them anything other than pointing to where it is within them. That's the metaphor of therapy. That's all it is. And so just having that outside resource with no other objective than to walk alongside you can be very, very valuable and effective.
That's very powerful. And, even with what we do in terms of our menopause support with our patients, it's starting out with, what is your goal? And sometimes women get so busy and caught up with what they're doing every day. It's, oh yeah, when I'm, 55, I really want to feel as strong as I felt at 35. How can I negotiate an exercise or healthy eating? And so it's just to kind of step back, recommit to some goals, and then make a plan.
Right.
I ask so many women, how do you want to feel when you leave, our appointment today? And they say, I want to feel seen, I want to feel heard, and I want to have a plan.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I mean, so many times it's just about that. It's about saying it out loud. I was with a patient today, and she is perimenopausal and also has fibromyalgia, and is just in a lot of pain all the time, and has not found the words to say to her husband, I need your help, I'm in pain. And so I had her make a list of the things she needs from her husband. And then she read it to me, and she said, oh my gosh, I've never heard this out loud. I've never seen it in front of me. It's always just running around in my brain. I think I can do this in little bits and pieces. So just saying it out loud, having it in front of her, having it validated by somebody that she trusted, just got her over that hump. It's a downhill slide from here, I'm sure. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And I think about, women who cope, they need to do three things. There's good research about this. Number one, we need to believe that we deserve to be happy.
Yes,
So I
absolutely.
would want you all out there to ask yourself, do you believe that you deserve to be happy? I hope it's a resounding yes. Number two, do you have a support network?
Yes.
And do you maintain it? Do you make sure that you see your friends? You make your friends a priority. You do even quick touch bases or quick texts to friends, so you know everybody's there. And number three, do you ask for help when you need it?
Right. I couldn't add any more to that list. I think it's perfect.
Those are those three things.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we want to get into 5 takeaway points and questions to ponder and think about as you leave here today. So point number 1, women in the workplace, what they say is they want understanding. So I don't want to feel that I have to hide my hot flash. Even if we can be light about it. Oh, I'm having another hot flash. Just keep talking. I'm right here. I'm paying attention, and it'll pass in a second. Or, hey, pass me the cold water. Just to be able to make light of it. Is there understanding without judgment? Can I control the temperature like those Delta ticket agents with their fans? You all are going to be looking for those fans next time, aren't you, when you check out? And also flexibility when the symptoms get the best of them. So if you have a really bad night, it's okay to ask for that. And if you don't talk about it, it's not going to happen. Then people think that you're just fine. So if we don't ask for what we need, we're not going to get it. 87% of women say they have never mentioned their symptoms to their boss or HR. So it's just like 80% of women say they've never brought up their menopause symptoms to their doctor. So we as physicians and therapists, we need to ask our patients, are you having hot flashes, night sweats? What's hard for you? I would hope that those of you who are watching in leadership positions, can you please be more aware? Think about who in your purview, who that you interact with might be having some symptoms, and how can you work together to still get the work done, but keep everybody happy and help your employees feel seen.
One of the things that buys the loyalty of your employees is by demonstrating to them that you care about them. Just showing interest, just lean in and just say what you observe. And I'm here, I'm concerned. If you want to talk about it, I'd love to be a support to you. That's a really powerful message for a leader to send to an employee. So many times leaders think they've got to look the other way, and that's the worst thing to do. Look,
100%.
Lean in.
And if you don't know what to say, I don't know what to say. I don't know what you need. I don't know what to do for you. Let me know. Like, how can I help? So just to be acknowledged and then give grace. So super important. Good. Number 2. So this is what I've learned over the last 15 years since I've been so interested in working in the menopause field, is that tracking habits with a tool called MTS is so helpful for learning your triggers. So in the chat, we'll put a link to the MTS on our website, truewomenshealth.com. It's an important list, and actually it's a validated list that I came up with and studied and validated and published in the journal Menopause last summer. So the Menopause Transition Scale is a very short 7-question quiz that you can take with yourself and track them, because you can learn your triggers. Hey, yeah, I did have that extra. There were donuts in the office this morning. I had sugar. I didn't eat protein. Yep, I had an extra hot flash. I didn't sleep last night. I had another hot flash. And so it's really looking at these symptoms over time. I don't know, Mary Jo, what your experience has been with this idea.
Well, I've got two thoughts going through my head. One is, in psychology, we talk about baseline data. You take baseline data on behaviors before you decide how to intervene, what the intervention should be for the behavior. Then a business phrase that I learned was, you can't manage what you don't measure. And that's exactly what this is.
I love it.
Taking the data and having it in front of you is so telling. And then it just tells you exactly where to go. So I love that.
Thank you. And it's just tracking it over time, be it in your journal, be it soon in our, in an app. It's being able to track these symptoms. So whatever you do can help you say, okay, this has gotten worse or better. Or let's say you do start a therapy, such as a medication or hormone medication. It's, wow, that's really working. I feel better than I even, realize.
Right. And then it also reminds you, okay, this isn't my imagination. You see it and you track it, and then it's there. So it gets rid of that, I'm just making this up.
Exactly. Or it's just in my head. And two, anybody out there, if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to chime in. We'd love this to be more of a conversation. Comment number 3 or takeaway number 3, using our seeds can help you feel better as well as counteract the changes. So the SEED stands for the 7 essential elements of daily success, basically talking about these 7 key habits. There's no necessarily magic pill for this phase of life, but these basics make all the difference. For example, I've seen women who are taking hormones and they don't think the hormones are working. They want more hormones. But then I ask them about these habits. Are you drinking your water? Well, no, I maybe get 4 in. I just get too busy. The goal is 8 net glasses a day. So 80 ounces net a day, meaning water minus coffee minus alcohol. This is a really big deal in terms of having energy and not having hot flashes. Mary Jo, you and I agree, sleep is just so key.
Yeah.
Right? And
absolutely. It has such a big influence over everything. Again, decision-making, thinking, clarity of thinking, self-confidence, which we all battle with. So yeah, that sleep is huge.
Oh, good. Vitamins, I don't see this necessarily as contributing to hot flashes or night sweats, but certainly it's about keeping that basic health going. And I don't know who actually could eat enough good food to get all the nutrients that we need every day. So it doesn't hurt to take a multivitamin. For sure, we need our vitamin D. There's not enough vitamin D in foods to get. We've got to take a supplement if we live north of Atlanta between Labor Day and Memorial Day. So it's getting that vitamin D in at least 2,000 a day for health benefits as well as directly our bones. Fiber is so important for our health, but also regular bowel movements, to not get bladder infections, super important. And so we're not bloated and gassy and all of that. So fiber is a good basic. Nutrients are key. It's about having fiber in our carbs. So healthy carbohydrates are high fiber carbs. That helps us not put that midlife, we call it menopause, or that belly fat that happens with menopause. Healthy proteins. It's about activity. I know, Mary Jo, again, you and I talk about activity and exercise. How do you think about this for helping us in menopause?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's so many studies, and there's such a clear correlation between getting enough exercise, moving your body enough, reduces anxiety, reduces depression. It's just so, and you feel better. Again, it's that sense of accomplishment along with it. But just that direct correlation between regular physical activity and the reduction in depression and anxiety, it can't be disputed. It's just so obvious.
It's so obvious. And, especially even thinking about weight gain, women will say, well, I can't get it. Now that I've got to go back in the office, I can't get into my suits. And so if we can build muscle mass, we know that the most important thing for us women to not gain weight, unwanted weight, is to maintain our muscle mass. So if you have a choice, with limited time, I would make sure you're doing interval training or you're lifting some weights. You're doing some strength training, either a strength yoga or a strength walk, or If you need to go for a walk to clear your head, stop and do some squats and lunges. Walk, 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 squats, lunges, walk, walk, walk. So make sure you're building muscle at the same time you're getting activity.
And if you think of all of these seeds, and we're trying to build them up. Let's say we're not good at any of those or a few of those. It takes 7 consecutive days to develop a habit, and 21 days for the habit to really be ingrained. It takes 7 trips to the brain for a new idea to sink in. For me, it's 14, but for most people, it's 7. So if you think about just pinpointing activity, just say, if I'm not doing anything for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to do something for 20 minutes 3 times a week. You'll begin to build that habit. And as that habit builds, then you'll start to crave that activity over time. Don't be discouraged if after 4 days you feel burnt out. I just got to try it again next week until it becomes a habit. Same thing with water, all of that.
I love that, because again, it's to give yourself grace. It's not like you've got to do all these tomorrow, but to gradually add them in your schedule. I don't know about you, but every Sunday night I look at my week and I see, okay, I have an early meeting here, so I'm going to work out at night, or I have a late meeting, so I'm going to work out in the morning. So how am I going to schedule this? When am I going to drink my water? Yeah. It's all about intention. Exactly. I want to feel good. I want to be strong. I want to be sharp. How can I put all this information, into my daily habits? So it's just there. So thank you, Dixie, for that comment. Dixie is such a dear friend. Angela asks, how do you feel the keto diet mindset affects women in menopause? Angela, what I've learned, I'm humbled every day that what works for one woman will not work for the other. So we know so much about, let's say, the keto diet or paleo or intermittent fasting, or, it's really finding what works for you. One thing I find is that when women are in menopause and struggling, let's say, with prediabetes or belly fat, so we know there's insulin resistance. Sometimes having a keto diet with such low carbs, I see women often suffering with low energy. So if you're not having any carbohydrates, not even in the form of high fiber, let's say broccoli, or doing a whole grain like farro or barley, or there's not, really complex carb, even we talk about berries, and blackberries and raspberries have the highest fiber. Avocado, I know that can be in a keto diet, but it's really important to make sure we get some carbohydrates to feed our muscles, to feed our brain. Mm-hmm. I had a patient recently who was training for a triathlon, and she was running really early. She was biking at night. She was working full time, and she was doing keto. And she's like, I can't even barely do a workout anymore. And she just added some some complex carbs, and now she's got energy again. So again, as you think about what works best for you, just think about those kind of factors, and maybe, take some stuff out of your diet, add some stuff in your diet. And, we love talking about, again, helping you find what works best for you. Yeah. At True, we have Anna, who's our Culinary Institute trained chef, who's trained in nutrition, and she can really help people work with what they like and what they want, and put together. So I rambled a bit, but yet it's really about finding what works for you.
Exactly. Instead of trying to do what everybody else is doing, don't compare yourself to everybody else. Just know what's going to work for you, and what factors in your life you need to accept, and you need to plan around and be planful and deliberate. That's the other piece, is thinking about that with exercise and thinking about that with eating. Where am I going to be? What are the events? How am I going to manage my food intake at those events? Yeah.
And I've really learned, for myself, I wore a continuous glucose monitor for a while. I'm blessed. I don't have diabetes, but I have menopause related insulin resistance. And it was really eye-opening for me to wear that glucose monitor and see what made my sugar go up, what makes me tired, what makes me have good energy, not great energy. So it really helped me. And so this woman I was speaking of, she wore a CGM for 2 weeks, and she really saw that when she had that low blood sugar, that related to the fact that she didn't have energy for a workout. And so she was able to adjust things and really learn what kept her blood sugar in good levels, and what fueled her energy. So again, it's just really learning more about why you're feeling what you're feeling, and then what to do about it. We talked about Okay, I love this. Mary Jo, you want to take this?
Yeah. So again, you know, if you have a good group of girlfriends, you've heard this phrase. We talk about our tribe. Your tribe is those people that you surround yourself with, your biggest supporters. Think about when you've gone through other difficult times in your life, and we all have, and look back on those times and remind yourself, how did I get through that? What coping skills did I use? What support system did I use? And what about friends who have gone through a difficult time? How have I shown up for them? So when you've been through other challenging points, this is no different. So don't go through it alone. Use those old coping mechanisms, use those old support systems, gather your tribe. At the end of the day, everybody likes to go to bed at night and say, I did a good deed today. So when you reach out for help and support of a friend, of a mentor, think of it as you're doing them a favor. You're giving them the opportunity to say, I did my good deed for today while they help you. So just keep all those support mechanisms in mind.
I love that. Helen, hello, Helen. Way from Australia. I miss you. We need to talk soon. CGMs, can you get them from the pharmacy? I don't know what about in Australia, but I would imagine there's two brands. There's Abbott and there's Freestyle Libre. What we've been really lucky is that, here in the US, insurance will pay for a CGM if a woman has diabetes, sometimes if she has pre-diabetes. But right now, Freestyle Libre has an offer where a woman can have one for free, and they last for 2 weeks. It's getting them the app on the phone. So it's a continuous reading from the continuous glucose monitor to the app. And so it's real time. You can see right how you feel. I learned that my favorite blood sugar is 85. I feel awesome, can take on the world. But if it's 130, I am sleepy. And if it's 80, if it's below 70, I am hangry. Get out of my way and feed me now, please. So it's really empowering to see that. So yeah, let me know. Let's talk soon, but let me know if I can help further. I see Vio or Vio, how I say your name. Thank you for this. It's so important, and agree. Perimenopause is too long to suffer in silence.
Right.
For most women, it lasts, potentially 7 to 10 years. So from 44 to 52 is the average. And the tricky thing about perimenopause is it comes, and then the ovary works really good, and it goes away, and then it comes, and then it goes away. So again, when that first happens, it's a clue. We got to get our act together. So I love that. And tip number 5, Mary Jo, sing it from the rafters.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit, but you can't say it enough. It's about normalizing it. Being able to talk about it, as you mentioned earlier, Dr. Bitner, just saying, okay, guys, I'm having a hot flash, so I need to back up. I need to go stand by the window. I need to get some water. Or saying, my night sweats are impairing my sleep, and I don't have that under control yet, so I need to flex my work schedule. It's possible, if possible. So depending on your role and your work environment, if you can think of solutions and you have different needs, don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to speak up. The other thing about women is we like to nurture and take care of other women. So think about it as you're modeling for the next generation so that they don't have to go through this the way we've gone through it with trying to figure it out. Model it for them, show them, be a role model, normalize it. And hopefully this topic will be as normal as gender differences and generational differences at work.
Right. Well, what I think is so fascinating is that younger women in a workplace are watching what's happening to the older women. Does this workplace take care of women?
Right.
It doesn't, I'm out, right? So the younger generation is like, I can find a job somewhere else. So again, just corporation heads up, like how you treat women at 50 will encourage or discourage younger women from staying with you for a long time. You're putting money into them. They want to stay. They want to. So they're watching what's happening, and just so key. Yeah. Jessica, thank you so much. I miss you as well. I hope all your kiddos are doing great. Jessica, you have such an opportunity too to help women with food and healthy eating. And so I just so hope that this conversation is helpful for you as a coworker and you as helping other women. So thank you for what you do. This always takes me to intention. Like I think this has become such a key for me in what I do in my work with True, with Curia, with all that we're doing is I think about every time I have an interaction, what is my intention? So rambling a bit, getting my thoughts together, but it's about wanting everyone to have an intention. So tomorrow, as you think about this afterwards, as you go into the workplace tomorrow, as you interact with your spouse, your partner, your kids, what is your intention? It's I want to connect. I want to build a relationship. I want to slow down. I want to be an example. All of that. So it's just I would just encourage all of you to think about what is your intention? How long do you want to be at work? I want to stay at work for the next 10 years. And so I personally want to feel good. I want to keep doing what I'm doing. So yes, I'm very fortunate. I get to wear my estrogen happy patch. I get to I get to have all this great knowledge to take care of myself and help other women. I want you all to have the same thing. I want you to know as much about your body as I know about it, as much as I know about mine. So again, ask questions, be informed, have intention. Anything else, Mary Jo, you want to add?
Yeah, I love that piece about intention. That I do a lot of work with women who are struggling in their career, like what to do next and moving on. And the common theme that I hear, what we all want, it's intention reminds me of that, is we want to see our impact. And so taking care of yourself so that you can see your impact on those around you and the work that you do and what you're passionate about just feeds you. If you're feeding your soul, your self-esteem is going to go up. You're going to feel better about yourself, and you're going to naturally take better care of yourself. So be intentional. Pay attention to what you're passionate about, what feeds you, and what impact you want to make. And you can do that in a variety of ways, but it starts by taking care of yourself. My mom used to have a magnet on the refrigerator that said, "If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy." And it's true. So that you can take care of those that you love, the people around you that you want to take care of. Yeah.
Very well said. We have to take care of ourselves so we can take care of everybody else that matters to us. So on that note, thank you all so much. If you have any questions or comments afterwards, please put them in the private chat. We'll get back to you. Post them on truewomenshealth.com and on all social. We just want to reach as many women as we can. So thank you so much. Spread the word. Thanks, Mary Jo.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Good night.